August 8th, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was one piece of economic data right here at 5:30 Pacific Standard. That was the unemployment claims that caused this big spike. I tried to find a channel that fit, but I noticed throughout the day, because I was trying to make various things, it kept evolving. So it looked like this, it ended up looking like this, maybe like this, but the channel itself, ultimately I drew it and left it here, or left this one out of all the ones I drew. It didn't really help for any particular trade setup. And I found a more shallow channel here, this red one, like had good confirmation start here, one touch, two touch, looked like it fit pretty well at the top. And then a lot of times it was just playing these shortened trend channels and these trading ranges. Uh, Volume was pretty decent. It was another pretty much 180, well, 100 and yeah, 180, 90 now, 190 point move from pre-market to where it is now, which the market still hasn't closed yet. Then in regular trading hours, it looked like it was about 52.60 to roughly, I don't know, 53, 55, so a 95, 100 point move, which is, it seems like that's the norm lately for the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to get into my trades today. I took a total of one trade right here, and there were other couple setups that I found, but there weren't too many setups that I was able to identify as being high probability. So the pre-market, the two legs up, the consolidation, this really big trading range, which had multiple little legs in here. Then another push up after the unemployment claims came out at Pacific Standard 5:30. It pushes up, and the first setup I saw actually happened really close to the opening of the trading day. Let's show you. So right here. So I already identified this green up channel here, and I saw this as a new high, total high of the day actually, made in the pre-market. You have a first entry long here, pushes up, pulls back, makes a second entry long there. I thought it was an almost trade because the main thing that was going against it was this is a timestamp of 6:30 and 14 seconds. This is 6:30 and 4 seconds, and this is right at the open. So this, in a matter of about 14 seconds, these two candles printed. So it was moving very quickly. These candles were printing rapidly. So although it's a decent setup, gave me a little bit of pause because I don't want to see if I enter long here, suddenly it flushes down. It's just too early in the day on I would say decent setup, but not strong enough for me to jump in this early. Turns out it would have worked though. I like that it was a break of this orange up channel, made one attempt up. The second attempt, pretty much, I mean, it is lower than this guy, but you could say it's kind of a matching high. So you would say, it kind of played out its up push and now it's selling off. But seeing this in real time, you saw one attempt up, and this looks like it's about to start a second attempt up. This signal bar is a little bit larger though, it's 4.5 points. So that was the other thing going against it. It's early in the day. It feels a little dicey. It is bouncing off the EMA, but I ended up leaving it alone. So then prices hit this consolidation area, and it's just kind of in this range right now. You do have a new high here, say first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long right here. Very, very tiny though, by one tick. You could see it as a visual first entry long pullback and then potentially a second entry long here. But then this is the signal bar, which isn't that clean. And then you don't really get a higher low, but you could say it's maybe a triple test or multiple test, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I just didn't like the signal bar, seeing this in real time to feel comfortable going long, even though it's in a range. Then it breaks out. You can ignore this gray up channel at the moment because it was here, but I also had other ones going on. So I didn't really trust this one as a dominating one. Pushes down on this orange down channel, breaks, tests and makes a new low. No clean second entries, reverses. So you get this strong, strong push up. And the first time it pulls back and breaks below the previous is right here. So it's actually your first entry short. And then it pushes up past the trading range, continues to move, falls into what I think is this red up channel, but it's not the best and cleanest channel because it breaks and it dwells outside. And plus, I only have somewhat some conformations at the bottom. The top side doesn't fit all that well. So it could have been a consolidation and then a more sharper break in a channel this way. So I was considering something like this as well, but I wasn't really sure. So I just kind of sat on my hands. And then it sets up for coming up to my first trade. Just makes a new high a day, pushes down first entry long, second entry long, but I also saw it's just one leg overshoot of this red up channel. Certainly had a dwell outside and it's pushing back down. So I'm wondering if it's going to test the highs here. So I'll show you what I'm thinking in real time. I saw a new low here, say first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Now the data has been reloaded, but this was actually a slightly better signal bar. I mean, it's a decent signal bar now, but it had more of a body. But this one actually turned out to be a pretty, because there's actually, it's hard to see, but there's one tick above. So the high is actually one tick above this open and close. But I had a slightly more, there was an actual body here, which gave me a little more confidence because what it means is it pushed past the open to give me a green body. So it's a break of this orange down channel. It needs to test the new low, first entry short, pull back, second entry short. Second entry short looked like it failed because I saw it, well, it hasn't failed. It did go to second entry short. So technically right now you have a second entry short that hasn't failed yet. But the way it pushed up so hard, I thought there's probably going to be enough for a quick spike up. I also thought maybe it's going to push and test the highs of this red up channel. So I entered and I was able to quickly get a scalp. And on this particular trade, I did have a runner. So my stop loss was down here and I quickly dragged it up to one tick above my entry. Unfortunately, it does take out my runner, but that's okay. And it kind of starts moving up on this red up channel. The yellow one doesn't exist yet, or isn't, I don't trust it yet. It's not firm. It does create this higher low right here. We have a new high, say first entry long pullback, second entry long, below the EMA, no setup here, bad signal bar, pushes down and then reverses. So I thought this is a possible trade higher low because it's coming from an overshoot, kind of made a matching overshoot on this side, and it broke out of this green down channel, made one attempt down. However, it stopped short, and I'm thinking this yellow support, this yellow trend line, which ended up being a channel that I end up drawing, could be enough for this to bounce and maybe make a second attempt up. So I thought there was a potential trade here. Excuse me. And it's a pretty decent signal bar. Prices continue moving up. When it hits here and reverses down, that's when I trusted that I was in a channel a little bit more, especially the top side, because one touch, two touch, three touch comes up, reverses. It's getting close to the bottom here. Didn't mean to move this one. And whether it touched it or not, it clearly looked like it bounced. But this time it's having trouble reaching the other side like it did on this one. And I'm wondering now, because I found this potential trading range, and there was a small channel down here, but no setups, where is price action going? So it breaks out of this yellow up channel, but it doesn't break out, as a big sell-off. It breaks out going sideways. So what's telling me is maybe it's going to be one leg up, sideways consolidation, and a potential another leg up, but it doesn't discount the possibility it could just be sideways consolidation, then a sell-off. But it is just something to be watching. I'm watching this carefully. It looks like this blue range is being respected somewhat. It breaks out, potential fail breakout, but it doesn't really quite come back. It kind of dwells for a while and then pushes back up. You do have a new low here. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. I don't like this though, because it's too far from the EMA. It's a little early to declare I'm in a trading range to trust this as a potential setup for second entry short. Plus, I don't really have, you have enough room for a quick scalp, but it feels dicey. Like it would have worked, but it just kind of feels like it's a little bit in the middle of nowhere. Prices move up on this big push up on this orange. Breaks, makes a new high, which is, well, it doesn't make a new high, but it falls short. And this actually creates a second setup that I saw. Excuse me. Break of this orange channel. Clearly, this orange channel is higher than all these guys. So this yellow up channel that was looking for a test of the high has achieved it right here. This dotted blue line is the high of the day, of just today in regular or pre-market. So you can see it spiked up by a couple points or a couple of ticks. So it makes a new high. Now it's a break. It's trying to test the high of this one, but the big one has been tested now. It kind of falls short, pulls back. This could be the second attempt. So I saw this as a first entry long, second entry long. Second entry long also has now failed because it broke past this previous one. I need to see what the follow through is, but there is a potential trade if you're more aggressive because it broke the orange channel, made one attempt. This could be the second attempt. It broke below the EMA. It could be flushing down. I would consider it a little bit more of an aggressive setup. But then you get this push up, and I thought this could be a potential higher low, depending on what the next candle does. Next candle actually breaks a little bit higher, but it closes below. So these three candles now are closing below the EMA. EMA is starting to show some strength. It looks like it's starting to curve over. And I thought it was a possible trade here. I'd probably put my entry one tick below this. Or actually, since it's a three-point bar, I might have stepped it back a little bit just so my stop is a little bit smaller, maybe just 10 ticks instead of, a full 12. So I would have probably tried to enter here, definitely below the EMA. And it's debatable whether I would have gotten filled or not, but if you did, most likely you would have gotten your 1 or 2 point scalp. Prices then kind of move down. It breaks out of this red channel again, makes two attempts down, tests the low. And I'm noticing today the price action is rather, it's not obvious, but it's kind of obeying the typical rules that you expect. After the break of these channels, it tests and attempts to make a new high or a new low in two attempts. So it's nice in that regard. The trouble and struggle I was having to find like a dominant trend channel didn't really matter all that much because price action was following the shortened trend channels pretty well. So again, it's a break of this yellow up channel. Then I don't know what happened here, but it flushed and made a new high. So I saw it's maybe one leg up, pull back, second leg. I wasn't, I didn't have this red channel established yet. So you can ignore it for now. So I can't use it as key entry point because I didn't trust it, didn't know what it was at the time. You do have a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. This is a bad signal bar to go long on because it's below the EMA, looks a little iffy. It could be on its way down. At this point, I do have a trend line drawn. Actually, I started from here, one touch, two touch, three touch, and the bottom of it to create the channel, it was a little more ambiguous. I wasn't, well, I won't move it now at this point, but it was kind of cutting up a little bit higher through here. So I wasn't sure exactly where it was. Then it sets up and creates this higher low because there's, I believe, a hidden second entry short right here. It was actually a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back, pushes up above, and on the same candle here creates your second entry short. First entry short, second entry short. Seeing this in real time, I'm thinking there's a hidden second entry short. Unfortunately, this candle, which should also be your signal bar, closed above the EMA. It did push below, but I wanted to also close below. And it didn't do that, so I was just waiting. I was maybe their higher low would go up. It creates this higher low, also closes below. I didn't take this trade, but I was thinking after this flush down, where would I have tried to take it? So this is a three-point bar. In order to reduce risk, I probably would have put it maybe one or two ticks right where the EMA is. As you can see, this next candle kind of opens. Maybe you would have gotten filled, maybe not, and it would have flushed down. More aggressive would have been to just put it one tick below here, because then you definitely would have gotten filled, but your risk is a little bit higher. Then prices continue moving down. It breaks, gets a little choppy here. There's a new low. It looked like a spike in a channel. So first entry short, second entry short, bad signal bar to go short right here. And it just looks a little bit icy because these candles are huge. This is 6.25 bar, and these are relatively large too. So in order for me to jump on anything like that, I need a clear trend that I can recognize and see that's a safe entry. And this isn't it. So it looks a little bit more like I need to sit on my hands right here. Then prices continue, it bounces. So at this point, I had this red up channel, red trend line resistance drawn, and I was playing with where this bottom one was, and I thought, okay, maybe this is the channel, this red one here. But unfortunately, right here, there was no setup on this third confirmation bounce that I could see. So first entry long, second entry long, technically a third and a fourth. But there's also no failed second entry short. It's below the EMA. It's just a whole lot of stuff happening here that doesn't give me clear indication of which way it's going to go. Then it pushes up in this orange up channel. Break consolidates here. I saw this as a new high, first entry long. I saw the second entry long here, but I didn't like that it was kind of pretty far from the EMA. I wasn't ready to call it a trading range yet, so I could not use this support as a key entry point. So I saw this, but I thought maybe it's going to come back down, touch the EMA, maybe I can get in on a better setup. Doesn't do that though. It kind of consolidates and then pushes up again. Break, makes one attempt, second attempt. This isn't a good entry. This isn't a good signal bar to even go second entry long. Kind of keeps chopping, sells off here. I'm watching, so technically there's a new high, first entry long. You have a second entry long, but it's kind of below the EMA, out in the middle of nowhere. No real setup here. Houses all this is a new low, first entry short, and that's all you get. Makes another new low, and then the last setup, I think potential setup that I saw was here. It creates a new low, localized new low. It tried 3 times. Didn't mean to do that. Put it back a little bit. It made 3 times to break below this line and it failed. Created a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. In real time, when you see this, I'm not thinking short. Then I see this and I said, okay, clearly this is a second entry short, but it closed above the EMA. It's a potential break of this gray or this clear down channel. So it could be moving back in, but I can't discount the possibility as one push up, potentially a second push up for a second leg, because although this orange up channel has tested and made a new high, overall bias is still leaning toward bullish. So there could be another push up. I just don't know. If I wanted to go short and back into this trend channel, I want to see a lower high. And then you get your lower high here. This is I would say it's close to an almost trade, maybe a possible trade, because you do have a new low here, a first entry short, pull back, second entry short, and then you have kind of a break by one tick, then flush down. I like those kind of setups. The unfortunate thing is if I didn't take it on the engulfing, which had been, once it broke past this guy here, if I waited till the close, I'm running into the concern that I had previously of there's 3 attempts here. Yes, it broke below, but it doesn't mean that next candle couldn't bounce back up. So this would have been a more aggressive trade. Break of this orange up channel, tested and made a new high. It's coming back down. It's coming back into this trend channel coming down after this breakout. The tendency is for it to move back in, but unless you took it on the engulfing, it felt like there was no trade there or no safe trade. Turns out it would have worked. Market starts reversing itself. It's the first entry short, second entry short, bad signal bar, still potentially part of this leg. You do have a new high, first entry long. Technically, I have a second entry long here, but it's bad signal bar. It's just not a very clean setup. Pushes back down through here. Break and tests and makes a new low. Kind of following the theme of today, where all these channels, when they have a break, they do test their extremes, which is nice. It's kind of a little less tricky or ambiguous today. Not that it means that there are a lot of setups, but it's just there wasn't any weird, crazy fake outs, or not as many as other days would provide. The break, first attempt up, second attempt, not a good signal bar. It kind of hits this consolidation area. You do have a triple test here, but it's also getting really close to the end of the day, because this is right here at 12:50. So you only have 10 minutes. So I definitely don't want to try to take a trade in here. It just feels a little dicey. But I do not want to be holding anything overnight, especially in the futures. So it kind of ends up looking like so. Not too many setups. There were sections of time where you're just kind of sitting on your hands, like this zone here, where it just it was a test of patience, because I know yesterday I took 2 losses and only won once, and it was super early in the day, right? It was pretty much 3 trades in quick succession. So I tried to, reel myself back, stay a little bit more calm, and not get pulled in or invent setups that clearly aren't there. And if you squint enough or you try to convince yourself, then you could convince yourself that there is a setup just because it's the second entry. So hopefully that was helpful.